What's up, everybody? Noah Kids are back here for another episode of Noah and Scottie Reviews Episode 3. We're really enjoying this show because we get to talk about movies. But we're going to introduce a new little part of this show, movie news. We're going to be going over the 4 new Hallmark films. We have Mystery on Mistletoe Lane, Everything Christmas, Christmas Island, and A Heidelberg Holiday. But also, I will be talking about Killers of the Flower Moon and Journey to Bethlehem, because I saw those in theaters, and I figured I would love to talk about them, because Killers of the Flower Moon is one of my most anticipated films of the entire year, my favorite actor of all time, long run time. It's going to be up for awards, but I figured let's talk about that. Then we will be going into a couple of trailers, maybe a little bit of box office, maybe some Hallmark ratings. We'll just see how this podcast goes. But we're going to get right into it with Mystery on Mistletoe Lane. This is very interesting because Mystery on Mistletoe Lane is all about this family. They're moving to a new town. Heidi and her kids discover a Christmas mystery with the help of a local handyman. This movie had a little bit of excitement going towards it because we don't have a whole lot of these Hallmark mysteries. This movie here really didn't entice me all that much. After watching the preview, I'm like, this does not look up my alley. But as a Hallmark fan, I mean, clearly I'm a Hallmark fan. That's pretty much what the show is the Hallmark Christmas show from now until the end of the year. But this movie does have a Christmas feel to it. But the story overall is just very, very weak. It's a weak story. The daughter is not very likable in this. Whereas in A Christmas Island, that daughter was very likable. She's a brat in the very beginning, but they redeem her. This one, the kids aren't very well developed. You add in a ex-husband who does very little to even further the plot, and you also have a whole lot more of other stuff in here that does not need to be in here. Victor Webster is the lead star here, and I'm not a big fan of this film, not because of him, because of the story. Victor Webster has had a couple of good films as of recently for Hallmark, particularly in the Christmas genre. This is a weaker film for the Hallmark year so far, but I thought it was a serviceable film. If you want to do more of like a mystery film, maybe go with a Cases of Mystery Lane, a family history mystery. This is not a murder mystery. This is solving a mystery that is within the house, and that kind of has to do with something else. Not going into spoilers, but it's not really a murder mystery, which is what I was kind of expecting with a Christmas mystery film. But I did not enjoy this film overall, but what did you think overall, and what were your thoughts about this film? And then we can go into our scores for it.
I was like you. I wasn't very excited on it. I'm not a huge Victor Webster fan. Didn't really know anybody else in this movie off the top, just by the face of them or the name. So, but it definitely gave you the Christmas feel. But really, I mean, outside of that, like you said, especially the daughter in this was just so unlikable. The mystery aspect just wasn't there. I mean, it was more of a scavenger hunt thing than anything. And really the mystery behind it was sort of easy to figure out and sort of too like right there in front of them to figure out from the clues, just because I guess the clues were meant for kids, and so since that's what they went with, was kids trying to figure this out. So it really didn't have a lot of that on the edge of your seat moments, really trying to figure out anything. You just was just kind of sitting there just watching it. and it just really took away a lot from the movie. You really didn't get a lot of the relationship building between our main couple. I thought they could have handled that a lot better than what they did. Uh, and it just overall for me was just it was okay. I mean, it was watchable for one time, but it's not one that I could see myself going back and watching over and over again because there's not enough there. I think they thought they had something. I've seen some people seem to like it, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't for me. It wasn't a mystery for me, and it wasn't really a romance movie for me. It's like I didn't know what it really was necessarily.
I thought there was some good chemistry there. There's
Hmm.
some well shot scenes, right? It has a
Yeah,
good Christmas feel. So I will give it that. It's a Christmas feel that's not set on an island. It's not set in another country. It's not one
yeah,
that's set in a different area. It takes place in a town, and most of it takes place in a house. It's focused on Christmas to a point.
hmm,
But the reason why I went with a 3 out of 5 on this is basically because of the chemistry. I enjoyed the concept. The execution, I didn't enjoy. I did not enjoy the
yeah,
execution of this film. But I did enjoy this one maybe a little bit more than I did his film last year, Christmas Cookie Catastrophe, which they tried to add a little bit more of a mystery element to as well.
yeah. Which I liked Christmas Cookie Catastrophe actually a little bit more than this one. I gave this one a 2.5. I think I gave that one a little bit higher, but not by much.
Yeah.
Um, but we were pretty much right, almost on the same score for this, and I was only half a star lower than you. So,
This one, however, we are on the complete other sides of the spectrum. Now, this is Everything Christmas. Everything Christmas stars Cindy Busby and Corey Sevier. Christmas lover Lori Joe, who they call LJ in this film, and her roommate head to Yuletide Springs for a long-time tradition to honor her late grandmother, and they meet two men, Carl and Jason, along the way. So the reason why Lori Joe is going to Yuletide Springs is to hang this ornament that her and her grandmother made many, many years ago. And her grandmother has always wanted to go to this tradition and to put the ornament there on the tree, right? This movie is mostly a road trip film.
hmm,
This is a movie that worked for me. One, I love Cindy Busby to death. She is great in all these films. I really enjoy her as an actress. I enjoy most of her Christmas films, if not most of her films. She has done a couple of films I haven't been all that hot on, but I don't think none of them have been necessarily awful or a worst of the year contender, right?
yeah,
Corey Sevier in this film, he was playing it up here, I think. He was having more fun in here than a lot of his other roles. Cindy and him had good chemistry. I really enjoyed the Christmas feel of this one. I enjoyed the comedic aspect because, yes, you build the romance, but this was more of a comedy, actually. Because with them going about finding this guy who may or may not be Santa, right? That's
hmm,
a nice comedic beat there. The comedic beats are there. I get why I hope a lot of people didn't like it. It is a little bit over the top with the story where it's a little bit too convenient where things happen just at the right time, but where we kind of said the same thing about the Santa Summit. I think it applies here just because why not? They're going to the same place, but this one just didn't have the magic feel that Everything Christmas did, or that the Santa Summit did with Hunter King
hmm,
and the overall comedy and the multiple stories that had nice conclusions. We got conclusions, we got the chemistry, we got comedy. What we did not get here was a overall just tightly knit film that everything worked. The ending could have used a little bit of work because yes, the latter scene didn't make a whole lot of sense. for stepping on the ladder because one, she doesn't step on the ladder when she does it a second time.
Yeah, exactly.
The ladder. So I get why they did it because you needed to do this thing in the film. However, this movie, I enjoyed this one a lot more than other people did because I saw it as a comedy mixed with a little bit of romance where they mixed in the romance very, very well. There's chemistry. I enjoyed multiple elements of this film, but I know that you were not a big fan of this film. So tell us why you did not enjoy this one and what did you think this one could have done better in order to make it a more enjoyable experience for you.
So for me, I didn't really find much funny in this movie. I felt like a lot of it felt more like trying too hard to be funny, almost to the overacting level for me. And that's no disrespect to Cindy or Corey or anybody. That that was just probably the direction they were told to go to try to make it funny.
Yeah.
But for me, it just did not work. I didn't find it funny. I found it, like I said, kind of like overacting to the point where I was just eye rolling at times. The constant them banging their heads into each other when they bent down. I told Ashley, I said, if they do that one more time, I was like, I'm done if they do that one more time because they did it like 3 times during the whole movie. And yeah, I was like, they got to quit that hitting of the head thing. But I didn't. The is he Santa? Is he not Santa character? His dialogue was just very always too much. Is the best way I can explain it. It's always like he had something artsy to say to him or something metaphorical to say to him. I'm like, can't you just talk normal? I get he's trying. I guess he's in character or whatever as Santa, and I guess that's the way he or whatever is going on in this movie. But it's just like it's too much. I'm like, can he just scale it back and just and talk normal? But so that didn't work for me. As we talked about when we was texting about it, which I know you didn't bother you, but how fake the snow looked. It literally looked like a white blanket on the ground, folded up in some scenes and stuff. And I was just like, wow, like that's something I would expect from like Lifetime, Up TV, not Hallmark being that noticeable. Not saying they haven't done it before, but they don't usually make it that noticeable from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Then towards the end, like you said about the step ladder, why she got up on that, I get they wanted that to lead into something else that happens, but to me it was just very unneeded. They could have went about it a different way and had set that scene up a different way than what they did. Wasn't a fan of how Cindy looked when she was crying. Again, no disrespect to her in that scene, but it just came off really bad for both me and Ashley. We were like, wow, I kind of expect a little bit better because she is such, a good actress.
Yeah.
And then when they're running around, I think it's running around the tree, the camera work got really kind of shaky. And normally Hallmark's better about keeping the camera more still and focused. And it kind of got a little shaky there. And I was like, I think it's not like Hallmark too often. Not saying they've never done it before, but that's usually they're better at shooting their scenes and stuff. But overall, this was I didn't hate it, but it sort of felt like a Mystic Christmas for me, but with a more Christmas feel. Where because Mystic Christmas for me didn't have much of a Christmas feel. This one did, but they both have that kind of overacting that's supposed to be funny and wasn't. And so really the only thing I could say that could have made it better for me was just bring it bring back the comedy a little bit, bring it back down to earth a little bit more is the best way I could say it. And you can still have the comedy, but don't have them going so strong with it.
Mm-hmm.
And had the Santa Claus, not Santa Claus character talk more like a regular person than being so artsy with metaphorical, and obviously shoot the last scene with the step stool, change that up, and made that something else. But it wouldn't have took much for to fix it and made it a better film. All the elements was there. It's just it didn't quite. They just went a little bit too much for me in this one, and it just didn't work. And but I still gave it a decent score. I gave it a 2.5. So it wasn't. I didn't say this is awful, half a star, or nothing like that. So
this one is definitely a bit of a mixed one, and I do get why. Just because this is a sweet film. It's a very sweet film. The chemistry's there, but I think the story did not work for some people. Just like it was a little bit too convenient with what she was given and the scene involving the store. That's where I'm like, okay, that's a little too much even for me, where it is this exact. That's where it's got a little bit too much for me, and I didn't really enjoy that as a fan. But I'm not saying that you could have done it another way, but you could have just took that scene completely out of there. While this thing did happen, I don't think you should have done this with the latter. You could have had it involve, say, you could have had Santa do something. You could have had Corey do something to it. But the way they did it worked for me just because I saw how they were trying to do it. But once we get to the conclusion of that big climax, I'm like, oh, this is a little too much even for me. Just because it's too far, way too far.
Even when they reveal, like, is he Santa or isn't he Santa? When they reveal the answer to that, I was just like, because when you get that reveal and you kind of look at everything as a whole, you're like, some of the stuff that happened and stuff throughout the film, and I was just like, could have gone back to the drawing board a couple more times and rethought about it a little bit more.
It's definitely not like, say, a Christmas Under Wraps, where that guy was eating cookies and he had little people making toys. He had a reindeer named Rudy.
Yeah,
we didn't have this. This Santa had a truck. This Santa had this. This Santa had that. But you had too much of, well, I have a very busy season right now, and this and that, but you didn't do enough to make it go, hey, here's a reindeer. I have a sleigh. I can't do anything on Christmas Eve. But I thought it worked for me, and the thing with the snow, I thought it didn't bother me just because I know they shoot these sometimes in like the mid-spring and summer up in Canada, where it's like a heat wave, like with Miss Christmas is Coming to Town. They shot that in a heat wave where it was super duper hot outside, and it's in June, and you have to do night shoots because all the places they go to 6 stops, and you have to have night shoots, which are going to run very, very late at night. And since there's a heat wave, it's not going to be in the 40s. Now, would they prefer it to be in the 40s? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it makes it feel more like a Christmas film, and it's easier to act in that, where everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's so cold. And instead they're like, I'm burning up here. Can we get this shot and go? But I enjoyed this enough to give it a 4. a 4 out of 5. Definitely one that worked for me, and I can see myself enjoying this one. Maybe another time it's on TV. It's probably going to come to DVD next year. Because it seems like what Hallmark did this year is all the movies came to DVD, which I liked.
Pretty much in big sets.
Yeah, big sets. Now some came in individual, and I get why they did it, but I wish that you could have just given us maybe a couple more double feature sets instead of 9 movie sets, because the 9 movie sets came with films that we didn't really enjoy.
Yeah.
And you had a couple films where like, well, I love this one, but I don't really like this one here. You have one of my favorites of last year, and then you have my least favorite of last year. Cool. So here's my $20. But this one, I don't know how we're going to differ on this one, because Christmas Island is one that we did not talk about, and we did not talk about a Heidelberg holiday a whole lot.
No.
I know that you said that a Heidelberg holiday was your favorite of this weekend, right?
Yeah, not by a lot, but to me, the best of the weekend.
Yeah. For this weekend, I think Everything Christmas worked for me a lot more than other films, but I definitely liked these other 2 films. Christmas Island is more of like a nicely done Christmas film that takes place basically on a small island, right? This stars Andrew Walker. And this is all about after Kate's first private flight en route to Christmas Island in Switzerland. She gets diverted due to a snowstorm. She teams up with an air traffic controller to land her dream job. She is tasked with basically taking this rich family to where they want to go. I believe it's France, right? I believe it's
Switzerland, I think. I
Well,
thought they were going to Switzerland, to the Alps, or whatever.
They said no. Sorry, I'm thinking about next week with a Paris Christmas waltz.
Oh.
We talked about it before, and I'm like, is it Paris? No. Let's go to Paris. No.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this film overall. The girl, the daughter here was likable towards the very, very end, because she gets more likable as the film goes on. While the film starts with you not liking any of the family members, but you feel bad for the son, because the son doesn't really want to be there. The daughter doesn't want to be there. These parents have money, and they have enough money to afford a private air pilot to fly them places.
Yeah.
So when the snowstorm hits, Andrew Walker is the air control guy, and he basically lives in a town known as Christmas Island. This movie could have gone one of 2 ways. This could have been one of the worst of the entire year, or this could have been great.
Yeah.
I fall on this is a good film. I don't think it's bad. I think it's a good film.
Yeah.
The chemistry is there between our 2 characters here. I enjoyed the older guy here. I can't remember his name. The older man.
I can't think of his name either.
No. But how they're helping the kids are helping him basically get the letters to Santa.
Yeah, they don't even have him listed on Letterboxd either, so I can't check.
Well, he was a very likable character, sweet character, very well acted, adds a lot of heart to this film. But what works here is it's a Christmas film that can be taken one of 2 ways, right? This doesn't have a whole ton of Christmas feel. Like there's very little snow. Very little snow, if no snow at all. But taking place on an island, that didn't bother me. Whereas something like a Royal Christmas Crush, that took place, the big pushing point was the Ice Palace.
Yeah.
The Ice Castle, which is barely shown in the movie. This movie, you have an island. You had the island in the entire film, and I am so proud of that. Because if you have them say fly over it or they're there for a little bit, fine. Fine. But this film
Yeah.
all takes place on Christmas Island, and I enjoyed this film because of the chemistry. There's good heart here, a decent little story, but the parents were a little bit unlikable. You didn't do a whole lot to really redeem them at all in this film.
Hmm.
I think you could have given us a bit more of a redemption story with them, because while
Hmm.
the daughter does have a redemption story here where she's a bit of a jerk to her little brother. But hey,
Yeah.
brothers and sisters will fight. That's life.
Yeah.
That's just life. But what she does at the end of this film was very, very sweet. It's very sweet, and it made me smile.
Yeah.
Involving a letter. That's all I'm going to say. That worked. But there's just nothing here that makes this overly special to me to make me want to watch this immediately again.
Yeah.
It's not like I got done with watching the Santa Summit and never been Chris. I'm like, when is this coming on again? Because I can watch this at any point. It's not a film
Yeah.
like that.
No,
I thought this
definitely
was a
not. Nope.
perfectly, yeah. I thought this was a perfectly serviceable film, a good little Hallmark film, but definitely not what I wanted from it. I wanted this to be one of the best of the year, being with Andrew Walker. This did do phenomenal ratings, and we will talk about ratings here after a Heidelberg holiday. But Christmas Island, I think, was a good little film directed by the good David Weaver, who has done many Hallmark films. I mean,
Yeah.
he has
Many that
done
I've enjoyed, really.
crap load of Hallmark films. Some I've enjoyed, some I thought were just okay. He doesn't have
Yeah.
a really bad film on his lineup I'm looking at here. I mean, he did Playing Cupid. I didn't think was all that great. He did Wedding Season, which I thought was fine, but then he did stuff like Sweeter Than Chocolate and Lights, Camera, Christmas and Butlers in Love. I enjoyed most of his films. This is on the good side of his films. Is it a stronger Andrew Walker film than what we've gotten in the past years? No. However, Andrew's very, very good in this film. He's very good.
Hmm.
And he has a very nice scene where it kind of feels like a Tyler Hines scene. We saw that in the preview when they're in the kitchen and he has a candy cane.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, that's a Tyler Hines moment right there. It feels like if he was in this film, he would be doing this scene the exact same way. And there was a nice comedic beat with a hat flip when he has the Santa hat on. I don't know, man. I enjoyed this film overall, but 3.5 out of 5 stars from me. What did you think of this film? Because we have not talked about this one hardly at all.
So for me, now our main actress in this, the pilot, she was in A Real Nanny, I think from last year, the lead in that. I thought she was good in that one. Didn't love that movie, but I still thought it was a decent film.
Yeah.
I thought she does good in this. I think they made her character a little snobby and rude for a good quarter or so of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so she kind of came off as an unlikable character for me for some of this film. So it was kind of leading me into, okay, what kind of redemption are they going to do to make me believe that he would want to be with her, with how she's talking to him and how she's acting toward him. Same with the family. I agree. I think the family was a very unlikable family for the most part, except for the little boy. I think that I was worried about how they would do their story, if they would be able to redeem them. And for me, when it comes to that side of the story, I don't think, for me personally, they did enough to redeem them, except for the daughter. I think they did enough with the daughter, but that wasn't too hard to redeem her because it was against her brother, so it wasn't like, anything too hard to redeem that character.
Yeah.
But for me, that I don't think they did enough for everybody else to redeem them enough for me. Like you said, with the Christmas feel, it wasn't fully there. It was okay, but nothing overly amazing with the Christmas feel. And for them to be stuck there due to a blizzard or whatever, I expect there to be snow constantly. Like every time they walked out, it was like snowing, keeping them at that airport and them not being able to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And, so for them to be stuck there as long as they was, and it be as clear as it was in that town, I'm like, was there no way you could have flew to at least get back to the States and then go from another destination from there instead of trying to fly straight through? Like, just gas up, go back to the States and take another route if you can or something. I don't know. To me, I think that lack of snow in a movie where they're supposed to be stuck there because of a blizzard kind of just threw me off with this one. But I thought Andrew Walker did great, and I thought he was really the best part of the movie for me. But I still liked it enough to give it a 3 out of 5. I thought it was a fine film. Nothing I could see myself necessarily rewatching again. We'll probably get all these films on physical next year because of how they've been doing with the releases. But if there was nothing else on, somebody said, "Hey, let's watch this," I wouldn't. It's one that I don't mind watching if somebody else wanted to, but I'm not personally going to throw it on just because, I don't think they did enough with the story to really warrant me a rewatch on it. It just was kind of there again. So
now this film was definitely a better film than I thought it would be, because with this film it looked like this would have no Christmas feel at all. I thought the story could be very boring and overdone. However, what really, really works here is Andrew Walker, and I think the chemistry is very good between these two. I like how there wasn't a massive misunderstanding. It was more of just, hey, I know you got to go. It's your job. I don't want you to. It sucks. But I like how they made him the air control guy, because he could actually say, hey, wait, because I have to give you clearance, because really the person they're doing it wasn't really doing much. So it was his job. I mean, he knew what he was doing. It made sense for him to be there. It wasn't like a regular rom-com where these happen, where, don't wait, I'm chasing you through the airport. We've seen that so many times, and I'm like, don't do that. Don't run out there. But I liked how they did it, because you could hear him in the headset. I enjoyed this overall. I went with a 3.5 out of 5. I can see myself watching this one again if it's on TV and if it's just on. So say there's like 20 minutes left before a new film or something, or I see it's on. Sure, I'll watch some of it, or I'll watch the whole thing based on how long the thing's been on.
I know. For me, one thing I like to know is towards the end when they're on the plane, but they've not taken back off yet. They're getting everything ready to take off. I don't know if you noticed or not, but out the windows, you can see stuff flying by the windows, and I thought they were in the air. I thought they had done took off. And when it showed them still sitting there getting ready to take off, I'm like, what's going by the window? I'm like, because when she gets off, there's not really enough snow for it to have been snow flying by the window, and there wouldn't be anything that would make it go past that window like that. So that confused me at the end too, because I was like, "What is that?"
That
once I got that.
that I'm not sure. That could be like a plane thing, like maybe something in the uh motor thing that makes it fly.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
100%
know.
sure. I'm not a plane guy, but I really didn't notice it. But when I watch it again, or I could go back, since I still have it on my friendly, that
Yeah.
I could go and look back at it, just because I didn't notice that the first time.
Mm.
But this is one that I'm very excited to talk about. A Heidelberg Holiday. This movie here is something that Hallmark doesn't do very often. Do they go to other countries? Yes. Do they have films based in other countries for Christmas? Yes. We just had, I always forget how to say it, Joyeux Noel, I believe.
Something like that. Yeah.
That film was fine. This film is better. It's a better film.
Mhm.
This is all about Heidi. Two films with an actress named Heidi, or with a character named Heidi. Cool. just want to point that out. So Heidi heads back to the Heidelberg holiday market to sell her hand-painted ornaments. While there, she falls for a local guy who helps her reconnect with her lost heritage. So one thing I thought that could have been a nice little bit of comedy that wasn't really capitalized on was her last name. What was her last name? Heidi
Heidi
Heidelberg.
Heidelberg.
You could have made that a nice comedic beat every little bit, where someone goes Heidelberg and she goes, yeah. Just because with my last name, someone says my last name, I'm like, hmm. But since she's in the town of Heidelberg, I thought you could have had that as like a little comedic beat. Instead, they just mention it here and there.
Yeah.
I thought this film was very, very good. I thought it was sweet. I thought it was well done. I liked how they kept on going back to the post office, but I thought that the line where he said that the German mail was just a little bit too overused. That
Oh
that got a
yes.
little bit on my nerves. I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know if Gina was feeling the same way, because the third time she went back, she went, I know. And I'm like, yeah. But the movie does have some German in it. It does have some German in it. One thing they didn't do that I thought was a little bit annoying is they didn't give you all the English subtitles that they should have.
Oh, you didn't get subtitles on your end?
I did, but I also watch it with the subtitles anyways. So when they're speaking in German, the words were yellow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there were some words in German, like little words in a conversation where I thought you could have had that pop up in English as well. Because if you're watching it with the English subtitles, yes, the English goes away, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the German is there. But when you're watching it, all it says is speaking German. So I take the subtitles off to see if it was there. And so say they use the word for cheese, right?
Yeah.
They would say the German word, but it wouldn't say what that word meant on screen.
And you watched it on Friendly, you said?
Mm-hmm.
That must
But
be a Friendly thing because they did it on the TV. They showed all the words on the TV.
just for like a a couple words, but for the massive things, yes, we got all that. I don't think it's a friendly thing. I think it's an issue with the film because I don't think they thought they needed to say what this one word was. But I think that would have helped me, and it would have made me a little less annoyed with it. But I thought this movie worked overall because of the chemistry between our two stars. I enjoyed the family scenes. The family dynamic in this film was so sweet. The kids are adorable. They're funny. You're learning a side of their culture and the German Christmas culture in a way where it makes it so you feel like you're learning about it while you're also experiencing it along with her. Because yes, she has some German heritage, but she doesn't ever go there before. She's never been to Heidelberg. I don't think.
I don't think she had.
I don't think she's ever
I
been.
could be wrong, but I want to say she hadn't.
But I enjoyed this film enough to give this a 3.5 out of 5. I thought this was a decent one. Definitely one I could rewatch again. Now, what could have been done a little bit better? I thought you could have done a little bit less with the airport scenes because those airport scenes, the first time it was funny. It was funny the first time. The second time, you're still funny, but you're starting to lose a little bit of the comedic edge to you. The third time, I'm just like, okay, hi, post office man. You're going to say something about the German Postal Service. And when her packages never arrive, they take so freaking long. Wouldn't you think that the people who were paying her money would be asking, hey, where's my things? Because I paid you money. I paid you for this. And I don't know if that was just something I didn't pay attention to in the scripting department or in the script itself, but I thought you could have done a lot more work with the script here to make a nicer story, make it a little more, try to make it a little bit more sense. But the family dynamic and the chemistry between our two love interests here really did connect with me. But the family scenes overall was so sweet, so charming, and so well done that I'm going to give this a 3.5. Now, if you could have done less with the postal service in their airport and stuff like that, I thought you could have done in their mailing area. Then I thought I could have enjoyed it a little bit more and give us another run through of the script. Maybe change a couple things here and there and go a little bit more. But I enjoyed it overall. 3.5 out of 5. Definitely one I can see being in like a 9 or 6 film set with probably Joyeux Noel and Christmas Island. Definitely will probably be in a 6 or 9 film set next year. But I enjoyed it. What did you think about it?
So, I don't know anything about German culture, how they celebrate Christmas over there or anything like that. So how, it could have been completely accurate to how they celebrate Christmas over there. But to me, I didn't get a great Christmas feel from this one, which really sucked. It was okay feeling, but just nothing. It looked very dreary, very just bland for a Christmas movie. I did like our two leads. I enjoyed our female lead. I can't think of her name, but I enjoyed her in A Holiday Spectacular. I thought that was a great film that she was in. But I liked them together. I liked their chemistry together. I think that, like you talked about with the packages not showing up. This wasn't like they were missing for like a day or two. they were missing for like, I think it was like up to like a week or two.
Mm-hmm.
He said, she's like, well, that's a whole nother week or whatever. So it was like a couple weeks. And like you said, people aren't going to wait that long for their, especially with how they had some of the German characters acting kind of rude and stuff. I couldn't see them being that okay with them not, the packages not being there. And I don't want to spoil it, but the ending, how it ended, felt unrealistic
Yeah,
for the situation too.
and
Uh,
they pay that one lady paid with cash.
yeah.
So I don't know
Um,
if anybody else paid with cash, but I'm sorry. In my business, in my store, if you
yeah.
don't have money, I'm not going to give you what you are trying to buy.
Yeah.
Now, it's different, say, ordering from Amazon because, yes, you paid money and you can track stuff, right?
Hmm.
With this, you're just believing that she's going to give you what you have just paid for.
Yeah.
With there's nothing there. She's believing it. I get it. Try and trust her word, but it comes to a point where you just got to start to question, what was I scammed a little bit? Am I even going to get this?
and
Because it's
and they
already
didn't
been
really
weeks.
and they didn't really show anybody like coming up to her and saying, "Hey, has my package come in yet? Hey, where's it at?" They just kind of skipped over all that.
Yeah.
Um, and it just, for me, that was very unrealistic. The stuff with um, the mail the mailman or the post office, it, like we said, got very overdone, very kind of annoying. Um, and it just, overall, I think this film was okay. I think you could have done less at the post office and changed up the story a little bit, made it kind of, add a few more comedy bits elsewhere throughout this film, give us a little more Christmas feel to it for me, and um, just made the story overall make a little more sense and not have it be so like that's unrealistic at times.
Mm-hmm.
But I still enjoyed it for what it was. I ended up actually giving it a 3 out of 5, same as Christmas Island. But I could still probably watch this one more than Christmas Island, just because I feel like this one had more emotion with it. The
Mm-hmm.
characters were more uh, better characters, and you felt that emotion more in this one than you did Christmas Island. So
Mm-hmm.
even though I gave them the same score, I would watch this one a lot more often than not. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, wasn't the greatest weekend for me with Hallmarks, which I kind of expected after having 3 5 stars the previous weekend.
We had
But
a really good weekend. I don't know if we got spoiled or not, but
that's my word.
let's just be clear here. Because while we did have three, we also watched another one about a week or so early with a world record Christmas, which comes out tomorrow. Well, as we are doing this now, it comes out tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a really good film. So I'm hoping that will lead into a good weekend of Hallmark films, which we will get into the preview here just a little bit later. But let's go into the ratings for just a little bit, because as we know, the ratings have not been all that good for Hallmark as of recently. However, with Christmas, they always spike. They
Hmm.
always spike up because it's Christmas. Everybody loves a Christmas feel, and it's not hard to understand why. But we're not going to spend too much time on this topic just because there's not a whole ton to say about it. But I
Hmm.
would like to start to bring this up because I do pay attention to them. But we have Mystery on Mistletoe Lane, which is up from last week's My Christmas Guide, which had a 1.09. Mystery on Mistletoe Lane got a 1.30. So I think that's a good score for it. And I know why it got a higher rating. because of the mystery aspect. They wanted to see what this film was. Not speaking on the quality of the film, but I think the marketing for it just was a little bit better for it than My Christmas Guide, because it's easier to say, hey, here's a mystery film for our Christmas season. And since
Yeah.
it's pretty much the first one where they went, hey, we have a Christmas film coming out, and it is a mystery. But what shocks me here, she's very shocked too. Oh, she's so excited about it. But we had Everything Christmas at 1.90. The Friday ones always have lower scores because some people are at work, some people are shopping, some people are doing stuff. You're more likely to have more people home on Saturdays and Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday's Christmas Island has the highest rating of the entire year of 2.62. Why?
That's just crazy.
I think this is because of Andrew Walker. He had the highest rated film of last year with Three Wise Men and a Baby. He's one of their biggest stars. So there's 2. 3, the women love him. The women love Andrew Walker. This is a different feel for Hallmark. So if you give them something that they've never seen before, like, I can't say we haven't seen it. That we haven't seen very often, because we don't get films like this very often. With a Heidelberg Holiday, I was not expecting over 2 million. This got 2.18. 2.18 for a Heidelberg Holiday. But the big story is Christmas Island getting over 2.5 million. That is nuts. And that is not including the people who clicked record on the DVR on their cable, because it could be another 500,000, it could be another million. We don't know. But these scores are just for the people who watch them live. But 2.2? That's insane to me. That I don't know if we're going to get a whole lot more that are over.
For that being the highest, I don't know what's really left that could beat it, honestly. I mean, we've done had Tyler Hines. We have Lacey still, but twice technically. I mean, she could probably, that's only one that could do it.
I believe there's one more that could beat it too.
Which one's that?
I think it could be a Biltmore Christmas, because a lot of people know that area. They love these 2 stars, Bethany Joy Lenz and the talented Christopher Palaha. But those are the only 2 films that I could see getting over it. Now I'm not going to speak on the quality of the films coming up, because we haven't seen them. This is just us going, hey, these are the bigger stars. And looking at the bigger stars, Andrew Walker has the biggest and highest rated Hallmark movie of the year. For many years, that went to all of the Candace Cameron films. Candace Cameron Bure's films did the highest ratings. Then you had your Lacey Chabert, your Andrew Walkers, your Tyler Hines, your Danica McKellars. All of them did the highest ratings because they're your biggest stars. But next week, we will go into that in just a minute or so. But I think it's very interesting that we had a film that went over 2.5 million this early on in Christmas, and that it was this film.
And see, for me, like before now with these viewer ratings, I would always want to see the highest ones be the ones that I loved the most, because then I would know for sure more likely they was going to get a physical release. But now, it's surprising, but at least with the way they're doing it, we're going to pretty much get a physical release no matter what the view count is.
Unless you're Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater.
Yeah, unless you're that one, which still makes me mad. But
where's it at, Hallmark?
Yeah.
I will say it every damn week. But, whew. Mm.
But I mean, that's great for Christmas Island. Great for, you know, Heidelberg Holiday. Glad they, people sat and watched them. I mean, wish we could have got those numbers for Santa Summit and some of the other films that we really loved. But I mean, at least, like I said, at least we know we're going to get them on physical, no matter what it seems like now. So,
yeah. But that wraps up the Hallmark for this podcast. But we will be talking a little bit more of Hallmark because we will be going into the preview for what's coming on next week's show. Because next week's show is going to be a stacked show. The next couple weeks are going to be jam freaking packed. Let me tell you what, they're going to be jam packed. But first, I'm going to go into the 2 films I saw in theaters this week, and I'm going to make them very, very short. I saw Killers of the Flower Moon. I've been jumping up and down about this film for a couple of years now. It's Leonardo DiCaprio, Martin Scorsese, and Robert De Niro. When oil is discovered in 1920s Oklahoma under Osage Nation land, the Osage people are murdered one by one until the FBI steps in to unravel the mystery. This film is impactful. It's important. It's 3.5 hours long. The cast is phenomenal. You have my favorite actor of all time. There he is, Leonardo DiCaprio.
I was like, wrong way, going for
But I love this guy to death. He's my favorite actor of all time. Well, he's probably my favorite actor of all time. He has 2 of my favorite films of all time in Titanic and The Wolf of Wall Street. I've loved him in all the films I've seen him in. I haven't seen all of his films, but I will be watching most, if not all of his films that I can, because I know a couple of them you can't rent and a couple of them are out of print. So that's going to be pretty hard. But this film is important. It's impactful. Lily Gladstone, who plays a member of the Osage tribe and who ends up getting married to Leo's character. She deserves all the awards, okay? She deserves the awards. She's not going to get them because they're doing something stupid. What they're doing is they're putting her in Best Actress. She's not a leading actress here. This is a supporting performance. This is a Leo movie. This is a Leonardo DiCaprio film. While she does overshadow everybody in this film, she has scenes with Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio. When you can overshadow those 2 titans, that says something. When you can overshadow, like in The Wolf of Wall Street, barely anybody knew who Margot Robbie was. She overshadowed Leonardo DiCaprio, who has been doing it for decades. And she was pretty much a newcomer, to us in the States anyways, who didn't pay any attention to her overseas work. I'm mad she's not going to get the recognition because I think it's going to go to Emma Stone for Poor Things. I haven't seen that film yet, but maybe. But did this need to be 3.5 hours? No. You could have cut a couple of scenes out. But with that being said, I did not feel the 3.5 hour runtime. I checked every once in a while. I would take my phone out and I'm like, okay, I have so-and-so left. But overall, I enjoyed this film. It's probably my favorite film of the entire year. I was so scared I wouldn't be able to see this in theaters because I could not imagine watching a 3.5 hour film at home like this. Because in a theater, you are uninterrupted. You're uninterrupted. You're getting the full experience. Before the film even started, I got a phenomenal intro by Martin Scorsese saying, thank you for coming to see Killers of the Flower Moon in theaters. And I said, you're welcome, because I've always wanted to. I was so happy. I love this movie to death. It is my favorite film of the entire year. 5 out of 5 stars, A+ from me. Not going to win any Oscars, but it's going to get probably a lot of nominations, because when these early films come out, unless you're an Oppenheimer or a Barbie, you don't have a whole lot of wins coming your way, because this was a frontrunner for Best Picture from the very beginning. We've seen that with The Fabelmans, and The Fabelmans fizzled out into do nothing. Then we have Journey to Bethlehem. Me and my family went to go and see this film in theaters. And this is all about. I was gonna say this was all about the journey of the baby Jesus being born. It's not. So this is all about his parents. Mary and Joseph have never met, and they are going to be in an arranged marriage. And it's mostly about that. But also the king, who's played by Antonio Banderas, hears that a new king is going to be born, and he feels very, very scared and threatened that this king is going to want his throne someday. But this also has to do with love. And are you going to let anybody stop you from happiness? While this is about the baby Jesus being born, it's also about trust and believing in the one you love. I'm not going to go into much more, but the musical numbers were phenomenal. There were a couple too many songs in here. It's a slow start. The movie does move at a snail's pace at some points, but Antonio Banderas is having a freaking ball here. He delivers here. I laughed in the theater a couple times when he was on screen. Freaking phenomenal. I loved that guy to death. And then you have Joel Smallbone. Joel Smallbone is a member of For King and Country. I believe that's his name. He has a song in here called In My Blood. Phenomenal song. Loved that song. I loved some of the film. It's not my favorite film of the entire year, but definitely one that I can see myself enjoying many, many more times. A religious film, yes, but it's not a preachy film. It's not like a Pure Flix film. But I enjoyed this enough to give it a 4 out of 5. And now we will go into the trailers because we are going to try to keep this a little bit shorter. And I know we don't have a whole lot to say about the trailers.
Yeah.
But first, we're going to go with Madam Web. The Madam Web trailer just came out today. I'm a Spider-Man fan. I really do enjoy most of the Spider-Man movies. I love Venom. Venom Let There Be Carnage was okay. It was okay. It wasn't as good as the first one. But then you have Spider-Man, No Way Home, Far From Home, Homecoming, Amazing Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire ones, and then the Into the Spider-Verse ones. I enjoy all the ones I've seen. I love Tobey. Well, I'm an Andrew guy. I love Andrew a lot more. I love Tom. I love Tobey, but this movie does not look very good. This movie looks bland. Dakota Johnson, she's delivering her lines like it's just bland. There's no performance here. The action looks nice.
Yeah. I mean, she just don't come off to me as a superhero character. I mean, to see her playing a superhero character, I'm like, it's just not her. You know, she doesn't radiate this portrayal of the character, and it sort of, like you said, she looks bland. It's like she's not really trying. It's just almost like she's just a paycheck, I think, for her. And to say she was in a superhero movie and played a superhero character is what it seems like.
Yeah. Now, we could have said the same thing about the first Venom, because the first Venom didn't look all that great. The Venom Let There Be Carnage, leave that out of there, because Venom is its own animal. Venom was a horror action Marvel comedy, and it earned that. It was a PG-13 that really cut the edge, almost got that R rating, I thought, and I really enjoyed that film. The Spider-Man films that are made within the MCU are a completely different story, somewhat a family-based story, but this film just looks like it's going to be maybe a little bit bland, could be a little bit boring. Dakota Johnson looks fine in the role, but just her line delivery was very bland. I don't know what this movie is even about. I don't know the story of the Madam Web character, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to go in optimistic like I did with the Marvels, but I could be surprised, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But we have 2 more trailers, and these are not Marvel trailers. These are horror-based trailers. We have Terrifier 3. Yeah. I have not seen any of the Terrifier films. I have not seen any of the films with Art the Clown. What'd you say?
That's a travesty.
I'm going to redeem that once we get to next year, or maybe, who knows? Maybe I'll go to Walmart and I'll buy the Terrifier 2 Blu-ray. No, I won't do that because it's on Shudder, I think, or it's on Prime or something. But
something like that.
I will eventually see them. I think this looks very fun. This is just a little bit of a teaser, and Art the Clown's very creepy. Come on. He's creepy. The performance is amazing. We're not going to speak about the mean one, because the mean one, that's not Art the Clown level filmmaking or a Terrifier level of film. It's not that level, but the performance is there. I'm not a Terrifier fan because I've never seen the Terrifier films in full. I have seen clips. I have seen a YouTube show called The Kill Count, where they show you some of the kills. So I've seen the kills for the first one, not the second one. But I thought this looked very fun, over the top, stupid, cheesy, funny, but it's made for a lower budget. The performance is freaking phenomenal, and I cannot wait to see this. What did you think about this?
I'm excited that it's going to be taking place at Christmas time. It gives it a different feel from the last two.
Mm-hmm.
Art looks great as usual. I know this film had lost a lot of its financial backing from major studios because the first few minutes or so of the movie was so gory and so just against what they want in films that they couldn't. They said he either had to change it or they wouldn't, I guess, like back of the film, and he said he wasn't going to change it. That he wants it to do it his way. So that really gets me excited to see what was so bad in this one that major studios pulled out and didn't want to give him money to help finance it. So that gets me excited. I mean, I've loved the first two. Love Art the Clown. He's one of my favorite horror villains. My favorite clown horror villain, even over Pennywise. But I look forward to seeing, because I think he said he's going to dive into telling us more about the backstory, I think, of Art. So hopefully we get more information on like how he's able to come back to life and stuff. You know, is he a demon? Is he a human? You know, hopefully we'll get more answers with these two. So yeah, I overall I thought the teaser looked great, got me excited, and it done its job without giving really much away at all. I mean, it gave you just enough what a teaser should do, not like these bigger studios that give you half the movie in a teaser trailer.
Yeah. Okay. And then the last trailer we're going to talk about before we get into the new releases for the next couple of weeks, because we do have quite a few of them, but I'm going to go through those as quick as possible. We have a new trailer dropping tomorrow for a new Blumhouse film called Imaginary. We just watched the little bit of the teaser we got, and next week we'll go into the full trailer review. Because this is a film that can go one of two ways. Megan, right? It could go a Megan.
Yeah. It
could be the quality of Megan. Or it could be a bad Blumhouse film.
This could be,
this could be a good film or a bad film. Now, that's with any film, right? But specifically with Blumhouse. With Blumhouse, I really enjoy Megan, Ma, the 2018 version of Halloween. I enjoy that one. I enjoy multiple of their films, right?
Yeah.
This film could go the way where it's over the top and cheesy, but we don't know what we're getting yet. We don't know if this bear is a demon. We don't know if he's an imaginary bear. We don't know what's going on. If it's an imaginary friend who's a demon, like could it be a version of Come Play where it's just with a bear?
Yeah.
Who knows? But I think this looks decent from like the 30 seconds we've heard. But I'm excited for the trailer. Probably not about noon, so I'm looking forward to it. And I don't know if I'll see it in theaters. It just depends on my theater. But uh, what did you think about this before we get into the slew of new releases?
I mean, there's not much to say on it. I mean, I'm nervous about it. I don't want it to go in the way of a Come Play or a Z or something like that because I didn't care for those films.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like you said, we really didn't get a whole lot to really go off of. But I'm excited to see the full trailer or the full teaser trailer, whatever they're going to give us. But yeah, still very, very nervous.
Yeah.
You never know with Blumhouse. I mean, you really don't. He's had, thankfully, 2 good ones this year that I've liked in Five Nights at Freddy's and Megan. So maybe he can keep that track going.
And I believe that Night Swim is also a Blumhouse film, right? Night Swim, I believe that's Blumhouse.
It might be through them. I think it's them and him and James Wan, I believe.
Yeah. And James Wan knows how to do horror from what I've heard with the Conjuring films, so he knows how to creep you out without something really being there.
Yeah.
But we will see what happens with it, and we will talk about the full trailer next week. But let's get into the last topic, which is the slew of new releases over the next couple of weeks, because we got a lot of them. It's going to be a lot of watching. With my work schedule, it's going to be a little bit tougher. But also, for you watch the Hallmark films at work.
Yeah.
So it is a lot easier for you to watch the Hallmark films than it is the streaming films. And for the streaming films, it's a little easier for me to do the streaming films than it is the Hallmark films at some points. But next week for Hallmark, we have one we've already reviewed. We have A World Record Christmas.
Yep.
So we're not going to be covering that one next week. That's on last week's show. We have Navigating Christmas with Chelsea Hobbs and Stephen Hazar, directed by Peter Benson.
I've seen the preview for that, and my God.
I'm just going to say this. The trailer didn't look good. The preview didn't look good, but I'm going to go into it because it's Hallmark. It's Peter Benson. He doesn't direct a whole lot of garbage. So I'm looking forward to it because of him. But Stephen Hazar's last Christmas film is my least favorite film of the entire year so far, in A Royal Christmas Crush. So we'll see. Then we have my girl. We have Lacey Chabert. I get her 2 weeks in a row. I'm excited. We have her and Scott Wolf in A Merry Scottish Christmas. This looks like it's going to be a royalty-based film, which is right up my alley. I love the royal films. She's done a couple of them. She's done a couple of them overseas as well. So looking forward to that one. I know you saw the preview and weren't too hot on it, but I thought it worked. I just think it depends on what the actual story is and what they go with. Because that little preview we got wasn't quite enough to really say, hey, enjoy it. Here's what we're going to give you.
Yeah.
Then we have a Holiday Hotline with Niall Mater.
Which we know nothing about. I'm not saying
nothing. And Emily Tennant. We know nothing about that film, guys. We know nothing. But should we go over the slew of Hallmark films for the next week? Because it's going to be a lot. Here we go. 22nd, we have a Wednesday film. We have A Season for Family with Brendan Penny and Stacey Farber. I think that film looks very, very sweet. I think it can be very emotional. and very touching, but can also have a bit of comedy. We have Catch Me If You Claws with Luke McFarland and Italia Ricci. Haven't seen a whole lot about that film yet, so all of these, we are just going over what's coming out. Letters to Santa. Nothing about it so far. Christmas in Notting Hill. This one, I believe, is one that's going to be the soccer one.
Yeah.
About them over in London playing football. So we'll see. We have a Holiday Road. Might be a bit of a road trip film. I don't know. Hall at the Holly Lit Up, a sequel to Hall at the Holly, a over-the-top comedic masterpiece from Hallmark Channel. If it is as fun, if it has Melissa Peterson in it, Melissa Peterman, sorry.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's in it. Give me the Barbara Jean vibes because she did there. It was phenomenal. I loved it. You loved it. Ashley loved it. We're all excited for the sequel. Our Christmas mural, and then we have a Biltmore Christmas. That's just Hallmark. So the first 4 films that we talked about, we will be covering those next week on the show. But let's get over and go to the other new releases. So will you be watching Best Christmas Ever on Netflix? It's an hour and 21 minutes with Jason Biggs, Jason Biggs, Brandy Norwood, and Heather Graham. I'll be watching this one tomorrow, but I don't know if we'll be covering it on the podcast. That's up to you.
I'm going to try to watch it. We'll see kind of how things go. I mean, with all them Hallmarks, I'm just going to have to play it by ear and just see how many of the newer ones that's not Hallmarks I'm going to be able to get to for the show. So it may have to be put off to the following week or something, just depending on how things go. Because I saw the trailer. It looked good. I do want to see it, but just got to see if I have time.
And we will have one more show before the 8 Hallmark films.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be a busy week. We will be doing 2 shows probably that week, one for just the Hallmarks. Because we're going to have 8. We're going to have 8 Hallmarks to talk about, and that's going to be a lot of fun, but a lot of work as well.
Yeah.
Then we have one tomorrow on Disney Plus called Dashing Through the Snow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be watching that one tomorrow as well, and I think you'll be watching that one at work, I believe.
Probably at work, yeah.
Yeah. I will be going to see Trolls Band Together at some point within the weekend. So I'll probably go on Monday to go and see that, and then on Tuesday I'll be going to see Disney's Wish. So I will be talking about those next week on the podcast, just like I did for Killers of the Flower Moon and Journey to Bethlehem. Then we will have Xmas. That one is a Freevee film that comes out tomorrow as well. This one stars Robbie Amell. I'm not too sure about the other. Is it?
I think it's Leighton Meester.
Leighton Meester? I believe so. I'm looking forward to that one. It could be good. We'll see. And then we will have, or I will definitely be watching Leo. Leo is an animated film on Netflix that is going to be voiced by Adam Sandler. So I'm looking forward to that one. It could be very cute. It could be very sweet. I'm hoping it has the Adam Sandler style of humor that I enjoy. But we'll see. The trailer looks cute. I am going to watch it afterwards. And then after that, I don't know if we'll cover the Naughty Nine next week. We may have to hold that off until the next week, but we'll see, because it does premiere on the Disney Channel on Wednesday, but it also premieres on Disney Plus on Thanksgiving Day. So we may have to wait until the following week after that.
Yeah.
And then there is a film on Peacock called Genie
Hmm.
with Melissa McCarthy. Don't know if you have any interest in that one. But then there's Wish, which I will be seeing in theaters. And then I don't know if you will be watching Good Burger 2 or not.
I'm going to, but I don't got high hopes.
Yeah. Now, not seeing the first Good Burger, I'm going to be watching the first one before the second one. So, yeah.
I'll say this. For me, having grew up with the first one definitely looks like it's going to be better than this one. Just from the trailer alone, this one looks like it's going to be too. And I get why they're doing it, but it looks like it's going to be too modern of a kids family friendly comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and usually those don't work for me very often. So we'll see. I'm going to give it a shot because I love the first one. I love Keenan and Kale. So give it a shot and see.
But for 100%, we will be covering at least the Hallmark films, The Dashing Through the Snow on Disney Plus, and Xmas. Those are the ones that we will be covering. It's up in the air with Best Christmas Ever. And Leo, I may talk about it, but who knows? We could have some more to talk about.
Yeah.
But there are some things coming out in theaters that we will not be able to see. Unfortunately, we both really want to see Thanksgiving. But my theater isn't playing it. You're not a theater fan. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's also The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I would go and see it if my theater was playing it. But instead, we got Trolls Band Together. I get why. It's going to bring in the families, but I would have got in The Hunger Games over it because it's The Hunger Games. Look at how much cash those things have made. It's $1 billion franchise. I would have done that over that. There is another film on Peacock that I don't know hardly anything about. It's on Peacock. It's called Please Don't Destroy The Treasure of Foggy Mountain. It says it's a comedy. Don't know anything about it. It's from Judd Apatow's Productions.
Oh, good
So,
Lord.
I don't know. I like some of his films. I know you're not a huge fan, but we will just see what we talk about. But we will at least have 6 films to talk about that we both watch, and I will have Wish and Trolls Band Together. But we could have more, and the week after that, you'll get 2 episodes. One for Hallmark and one for everything else and the news. So there is everything. And let me know what you guys thought down below. A bit of a shorter episode than last week. We're going to try to shorten these a little bit more. But we're still figuring out the little bit of a formula here, seeing what you guys like. But let me know what you guys thought down below. Like and subscribe if you're new. Go to their channel to their channel.
That way, there you go.
To their channel. Woo! Scottie and Ashley Johnson, get them to 250 subscribers, and let us know where you can where we can find you elsewhere, because I know you have a couple places, and if Ashley wants to say hers, go for it. Where can we find you guys on social media?
Do you want to say yours, honey?
No, just the Instagram one.
My letterbox is basically just Scottie Johnson and Scottie J91, and then the Instagram is
Scottie
just
and
Scottie.
Johnson with periods
That's yours.
in between. No, that's the Instagram. Well, that's yours.
Mine's, yeah.
I'm talking about the Instagram one for the channel.
That's what. Well, actually, if you want to say anything, go ahead and say it.
Well, I think that's mine.
No, the channel Instagram that you run. Do you want to say it?
Nope, go ahead.
And then mine is Scottie J30 on Instagram. And what's the channel one, honey?
Scottie and Ashley Johnson with periods in between each word.
There you go. Scottie and Ashley Johnson with periods in between. So
There we go.
That's everything.
And thank you guys for watching this episode of the podcast. We will see all of you guys next time for the slew of Hallmark reviews and a couple more. But we will also be talking about the trailers, maybe a little bit more news. It depends on what comes out over the next week. We will see all of it, you guys, next time. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and anywhere. It's literally just my name. I have the same thing for everything. It's very easy. Noah Kaser, Letterboxd, Twitter, Threads, YouTube, Instagram, everything. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time.